Hello and welcome to this analysis. Let's talk about America. It is a nation built on a very specific, very delicate concept. Check the balances. The founding fathers designed a system where no single branch of government holds all the cards. But what happens when the balance is lost and the checks are blatantly defied? Over the last 24 hours, Washington has delivered a spectacular bare-knuckle coalition of power. On the one side, the highest court in the land. On the other, the president, who flatly refused to take no for an answer. Here is what happened. A constitutional brick wall on Friday. The U.S. Supreme Court delivered a stunning 6-3 verdict, striking down the sweeping global tariff that has been the absolute cornerstone of President Donald Trump's economic agenda. For months, the Trump administration has used a 1997 law, the International Emergency Economic Power Act, or the IEEPA, to unilaterally slap taxes on nearly every major trading partner. The administration argued they were dealing with national emergencies. The Supreme Court completely rejected that premise. Chief Justice John Roberts, writing for the majority, delivered a sharp constitutional reality check. His message: the U.S. Constitution gives the power to tax and regulate trade to Congress, not the Oval Office. The president cannot use a 50-year-old emergency statute as a blank check to rewrite global trade. What makes the ruling truly spectacular is the coalition behind it. The three liberal justices were joined by three conservative. Two of those conservative, Neil Gorsuch and Ann Coney Barrett, were appointed by Donald Trump himself. How does a leader react when the Supreme Court dismantles his flagship policy? Does he respect the ruling? Does he pivot to lawmakers in Congress to get a legal bill passed? No, he doubles down. Within hours of ruling, Donald Trump stood before the press at the White House and launched a blistering, unprecedented attack on the judiciary. He called the ruling a disgrace. He hinted, without evidence, that the court had been swayed by foreign interests. He stated he was absolutely ashamed of the justices, specifically calling his own appointees, Gorsuch and Barrett, an embarrassment to their families. And then he executed a spectacular workaround. Defying the spirit of the Supreme Court rebuke, Donald Trump marched into the Oval Office and signed a brand new 10% across the board global tariff, effective almost immediately. How did he do it? By simply changing the legal letterhead. Instead of relying on the rejected IEEPA, the president invoked Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974, an obscure provision allowing the president to impose temporary import duties of up to 15% to deal with balance of payment deficit. Canada and Mexico are exempted due to existing trade pact, but the rest of the world is now on notice. The catch: the 150 days ticking clock. But here is the catch: the administration is downplaying. Section 122 is not a permanent fix. It only lasts for 150 days unless the US Congress specifically votes to extend it. This new 10% tariff has a built-in expiration date. The president has essentially bought himself 5 months of leverage, setting a ticking clock on the global economy. And then there is the multi-billion-dollar elephant in the room: the refund under the new illegal IEEPA tariff. The US Treasury has already collected upwards of $130 billion from importers. Because the Supreme Court ruled those collections unconstitutional, American companies are already lining up to get their money back. It guarantees years of chaotic, messy litigation that will tie up the government in courts. The vantage point is what I'm sharing. The crisis of authority here is the bottom line. This is no longer just a story about the price of imported steel or retaliatory taxes on America's soya beans. This is a fundamental crisis on institutional authority. The Supreme Court essentially told the president, "You cannot rule by decree." The president immediately response was, "Watch me." American trade policy is no longer dictated by treaties, diplomacy, or long-term strategy. It is being written on the fly, driven by executive loopholes and courtroom drama. The world's largest economy has turned its trade policy into a game of legal whack-a-mole, and global supply chains are the collateral damage. Is your country being affected? You want to share your thoughts on this, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into geopolitics. I am Joseph Osayamwe Guare, aka Jojo. I'll see you in the next one.